Okay, so we're back with Excess Video Box, another program coming your way, and we're actually very blessed to have one of our friends, drift compadres, sitting with us today, Jason Webb. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, awesome. So tell me, just like off the bat, like we've known each other for a long time, and that type of thing. 3 times national drift champion. You still got the passion for it? Are you still excited about drifting?
Seeing how I competed last year and how my driving improved over the year from not driving in previous years, I took a year off, 2019 and 2020 when COVID hit. We didn't do any driving. So I was really rough under the wheel. So I could see how my driving improved over the year. And I'm hungry to get back and get onto that top step again of the podium. I only managed to get 2 seconds last year, or 3 last year. So I need to put those Mozambicans in their place and drive harder this year. And I think I'm going to do more driving as well this year, so that will also help with, the progress through the year.
Cool. So you mentioned you were rusty, in if that's a better word maybe. Why did you take the year off, first of all? And did you feel like even when you came back, you basically missed the first event? Because we'll talk about that just now, because you had a little bit of an incident, but you still were able to finish up on the podium overall for the season. So you bagged big points throughout the latter part of the season, what was left of it, which actually, rings true of your talent and your skill. So
yeah,
why did you take the year off?
Yeah, I needed to give myself, it had a big part to play with my mental state. I wasn't happy where I was in the place, even though I won pretty much all the races in 2018 and the first one in 2019. After that, I just wasn't comfortable with where I was mentally and where I wanted to be in my mind, which is obviously driving overseas. And I was just really in a dark place and not really wanting to drive anymore, because I didn't feel like I got the recognition for how well I was driving, if I could say that.
Yeah.
So I just needed to get the passion back inside of me. For me, it was all about just winning, doing my best, and getting results and trying to get overseas, which at that time it wasn't happening. And I just realized now that, all in good time it will happen, and I must just drive harder and do more hard work, and I'll get there eventually.
So you're exercising, you're running, you're putting in the hours now, you're focused for 2022?
Yeah, I've never really done any exercising for my driving or like any type of running or gymming. So this year I decided to, I think exercising and gymming, not only is it a physical game, but also a mental game, because it helps you focus on your goals and be better at who you are and drive better. So that's my goal for this year, is just to be a better person, drive better and be more positive mentally. And
so sometimes in the past you were winning, but you weren't necessarily enjoying it, as you mentioned. Is there a change around? Are you feeling way more on the other side of it now? You can enjoy it and win?
Oh yeah, 100%. I also realized, obviously when not driving, I don't spend time with my family, with my dad, because he comes up to our events and all that. And we only really get to see each other at events, because I live in Johannesburg and him in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So I miss that aspect of the driving, is being with my father and Malcolm.
Because he's your pit director and he manages your car really on the day at the events and looks after the mechanical part of it.
Yeah, and his passion for the sport is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And to see him in the pits again and on the side of the fence at the drift competitions and just being together at events again just brought that passion back to life. And me driving again, realizing that, I've got this talent, I've got this skill, and I mustn't just put it to waste. I must drive harder and just work harder towards being a better driver and getting that passion back, which I have got, which is amazing.
That's great. Let's talk about overseas. So your ambitions could never be just somewhat in South Africa. You obviously want to get overseas, you want to showcase your talent over there, get the best in the world that you can. What are some of your immediate kind of visions for driving overseas, or your desires, or what's your plans going forward?
My biggest goal is to drive in FD. It's always been that, and I think since Otto even drove in FD back then, it's where I wanted to be. So my goal is to still get to FD, and I'm still working towards that. It is a long process, and obviously going to the States is a big task, especially from where we're coming from. But I got a good feeling that I'll be able to make it happen, and I think the more harder I work, the more real it is to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
I think it's time
For Drafari?
for Drafari.
Where's the power steering? There's no power steering, Uncle Mike.
I like this guy.
So tell us about your mad machine behind us. I mean, just give us a basic rundown of what it's about. We'll have a closer look at what's under the hood just now. But is this your perfect drift car? I mean, in the likeness of Vaughan Getson Jr., Chelsea Deneuve, and now Adam LZ, they're all running kind of this kind of spec, with different changes and different parts, that type of thing. Is this the ultimate drift car?
I think so. Like, even coming from my Essex, we had that car dialed so well, and coming from the Essex, I was like, oh, how's this big car, this heavyweight gonna be now drifting? And once we did all the work to it and finally got it on track, the first corner I went around, I was like, this is just amazing.
Okay.
This car is so easy to drive. It almost drives itself. Not really, but I mean, it just feels that way to me.
Wow.
And just the way I'm sitting in the car, it's just, I'm so one with this car. And I think that plays a big factor in it too. And obviously all the work we've done to it helps it a lot with obviously the drifting. And yeah.
Great. Do you want to tell us about some of the specs without giving away your secrets?
There's not too many secrets.
I'm a fellow competitor. I need to get in on the action, yeah.
There's not too many secrets. So what we've done to the car basically is we've got a full fiberglass body kit on it, obviously for weight, and it's easier and cheaper to replace the parts. My dad built the full suspension on the car, so the angle kit, the rear suspension for toe, camber and caster changes and all that. We got the racing hot rims on it, and then obviously in the motor it's not the standard 5-litre Coyote, it's got the Roush Performance upgrades on it. So it's supercharged. We've got the Haltech ECU from No Sweat Racing, Steve Clark. He did the tuning, and it's pushing just over 800 horsepower. And basically everything else we've changed, like the drivetrain, we put a different gearbox in the car. Diff is still the same Mustang diff.
Wow.
And it's been in there for 5 years. So,
wow.
Yeah, really strong. And other than that, the car is pretty much itself. As you can, it's a convertible, obviously, which is completely different in our drift scene. We don't have many of them. And
very cool in the rain, obviously. As you witnessed last year.
Yeah, we figured that out in the finals last year, and I told myself, you know what, Formula One drivers go through the same issues, and they're in multi-million-dollar cars.
Sure.
So I was like, I'll get wet, it's fine.
Let's talk about car park drift. It's coming to South Africa again. Last year you came in the top 5, I presume. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah,
I think I just beat you.
Yeah, I stuffed up.
Yeah, you stuffed up. I beat you, and then I stuffed up. But like, that's a good way to get overseas quickly. I think the finals this year in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, as I might have inside information, but what's your kind of take on that event? It's non-traditional drifting, but definitely good for crowds. It's a good showcase for drifting, and it's kind of like a playground at the end of the day for drifters.
Yeah, 100%. It reminds me a lot about Drift City and also Gymkhana Grid, where they've got those two aspects in it.
And you've come, did you win Gymkhana? You came second in Gymkhana.
Yeah, against Daigo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that for me was one of the highlights of my career, was driving against Daigo in those finals.
Yeah.
But for Red Bull Car Park Drift, I need to redeem myself. Last year I did well. I think I still qualified first, and then going into the actual competition, I just hit barriers, and each barrier you hit, you get penalized. So I basically threw myself out of the competition. So this year I must come back stronger, and I want to get that first place so I can get that trophy to go overseas.
And then you can afford the doctor's bills and, and your broken toe.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we got a bit upset.
It's all water under the bridge. We don't want to talk about it. So how's your toe doing?
It's good now, it's still a bit skew.
Yeah, so that's, I love it. It's a playground. And you can really, you're not going to get much chance to express yourself, but you get a chance to play.
Yeah, and the thing is also with Red Bull car park drift is the lack of practice you get.
Yeah.
I think it was 1 or 2 laps we had practice, maybe even 1, and then it was straight into qualifying. So, and especially getting this car through some of those obstacles was a mission.
Yeah, because this car's long.
Yes,
and some of those obstacles are just as long as your car is long.
So I had to keep it at a certain angle.
There's just no room for, there's no room for mistakes.
Yeah.
You can't make a mistake. The minute you make a mistake, it's like you got no.
And everyone's so tight in those competitions because it doesn't matter if you have a car like this with 800 horsepower or another car with 300 horsepower.
Yeah.
In that form of competition, it doesn't matter.
No.
It's down to the driver and how you can maneuver your car around those obstacles.
Yeah.
And also this car being just over 2 meters wide, it's tough to get around some of them, but we make it work.
You're going to shave down some of the fenders in 2022. I don't want to put you off, but maybe you should. No, it's easy. So, okay, so where to from here, Jay? Like career-wise in your mind, without giving away too much. And obviously we know you want to go to FT, but if you were to make a long enough career out of drifting or motorsport, where would it go?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. Hopefully I can carry on driving until I've already got grey hairs, but until I'm old, in my 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
That's my goal, it's my passion, and I'd love to be able to do it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'll work hard to achieve that.
That's awesome. Your sponsors, any big change up in sponsors for 2022?
No, we're still remaining the same with Monster Energy, Ford Roush Performance and Performance Center.
Yeah.
Not much changes there. So happy with the guys I got, and we may actually have a few potential new ones coming on board.
Like tyre, rubber, some rubber?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So that's in discussions. I'm meeting with people next week, so I'll know next week. And I'm crossing fingers and praying that we'll be able to get it.
Would you ever adorn the car with a number 1 Super Drift badge or a number 1 badge as opposed to the 45, or are you hard fast fixed on 45?
Yeah, I'll stay 45. I remember Wally Papa still told me when I won my first championship, he's like, now you have to change your number. And I was like, no, I don't want to change my number. And then I did. I put it it was number 1 for 2014 for the first time. And then at the end, in the finals in Durban, I hit the wall 10 points behind Wade in the championship. And I was 10 points behind him in the championship, qualifying in my second run, and I smashed it into the wall and couldn't compete. And then from then I was like, no more number 1. I'm staying with my number.
Brilliant.
So,
Brilliant. This way, brother. Of course, you have some explaining to do. So event 1 of last year, the Super Drift National Series, what happened here? Because I can see there's still some damage and there's still some kind of remnant of what happened against the wall. You went balls to the wall there, hey?
Yeah, no,
literally.
100%. We had a good practice, everything felt great in practice, and then qualifying came and I was like, let me give that extra 10% or 20%, I was already on around 90% anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew as soon as I went into that initiation, I was probably half a car length off my marker. And as I initiated, I just knew I was going straight to the wall. So I just tried to power out of it. And as soon as the rear end collected, and the rocks, the oval. So as you hit that wall, it just keeps sucking you in. Like if it was a straight flat wall, I would have been okay.
Yeah.
But because it started curving in there,
Yeah.
it just threw my front end straight in.
Yeah, it's a magnet.
And
It pulls you in.
Yeah.
I
And
wouldn't
then
know
the
why I
whole
know that.
Front. You did the same thing that event.
No, I didn't.
But yeah, broke the front suspension. Luckily, it actually only broke one rose joint. So that's why we were able to go compete again.
Yeah.
And then I spoke about the pulley failing,
Yeah.
which actually is the reason we stopped driving against
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So you actually beat me. Well
This
done.
was the first time I've ever beaten Jason Webb. I was celebrating while he was crying. It was depressing on one end and elation on the other. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't a fair competition. Eh? Anyway, but I see there's still some bending, like the pillars on the side here and that type of thing. But it's not something.
Yeah,
you,
suspension is straight. That all
yeah.
lines up. So
It's
when
not
it
too
comes
bad.
to these parts, it's all fine.
Are you getting another light to come in here? Or
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this going to be your natural flow of air now?
No, we're getting another light.
Induction.
It takes long to import parts for these cars.
But that was a big thing. The back was actually wrecked, but the suspension was fine. It was the front end that needed a bit of straightening and a bit of
Yes.
arm barring and
Yeah.
heat and turn and.
Yeah,
that
remember
type
that whole chassis leg was bent
Ah,
this way. You
fuck
and Jim
yeah.
were still pulling it.
Yeah,
And, yeah,
it was
We had
amazing.
about 10 of the other drifters just around the car. Everyone's just pulling things and panel beating. Yeah, it was amazing.
Great, Jace. If I was a follower of Jason Webb, where would I get hold of you on social and that type of thing?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram is WebDrift45 and then also on Facebook, Jason Webb. And yeah, on those two, I'm also going to start YouTube eventually as well.
Good,
Yeah.
great idea. I think
So-
you'd be very good on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not as good as Adam LZ, but you'd be good. Look,
We'll get there, we'll get
I
there.
just want to wish you luck, Boykie.
Thanks.
This year is going to be so exciting. I think there's so many different things happening this year, and I think that if we can just get into the kind of event spirit of
Yeah.
old again,
That's it.
coming out of COVID, it will be so good for drifting and so good for motorsport at the end of the day. So
No, 100%.
wish you luck, Boykie.
Thank you.
Power to the people. I noticed the pedal got stuck.
Yeah, got a bit sticky there at the end.
That's for the
control it quickly.
that's for the cops, right? Yes, there you go. 800 horsepower of fury.